Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon. This is Shirley with Spirit of Matter. And today I have a little bit of a Neptune teaching for you. And so I'm thinking that towards this eclipse, of course, also the views around Pluto and Neptune are going to change because they're so involved. But it just struck me that Neptune is associated with the nobody is coming to save you teaching, which is not false, okay? Neptune teaching is often about kind of like being your own hero, not looking for other people to be your savior, and not to, if you combine this with the sextile to Pluto, not to give your power away to savior-like figures and hope that they're going to figure it out for you. So this is where ideation can come. We have a tremendous need. We have no idea, no clue what to do about this. And so we try to see if there is a figure that we can project these ideals to and these saving solutions. And this is a part of the Neptune story. I'm not here to discredit that or say that this isn't true. That being said, not enough has been talked about with Neptune around being with the void. Neptune is a tremendous long-term wealth manifesting planet. Okay, this is where you get your dream, your bringing in something from where what seems to be nowhere. This is Neptune, okay, bringing things from other world. This has been associated with channeling as much as psychiatry, and it is the teachings that tell you to be with the void and stay with the void and state your desire. And so this nobody is coming to save you Western teaching that is not false. Again, it's not, yes, there are certain circumstances in life where it doesn't seem like anybody is there. But what is less talked about is the void and the being with the void. Because the fact that nobody is there to save you is, telling you, oh, you have to do this yourself. It doesn't tell you anything. It doesn't give you teaching. It doesn't give you practice. And you say, oh, but this is just what this is about. Yes, and Neptune is about you noticing something that is missing, noticing something that you are longing for, or noticing something that you can feel its presence, but not in the physical as well. And beginning to absorb and observe. And to stay with the void, to stay with the longing. This is how you save yourself. And we also need to remember this is a very slow moving planet, so we're not expecting that things are going to happen in a very quick fashion. It does take time. Okay, so I think that this is going to be very, very useful for Neptune synodic cycles, and we have been concentrated on the disillusionment from the dream, kind of like the breaking of the dream. And yes, Saturn is approaching Neptune, so people are thinking of this as the breaking of the dream, the dissolution of, let's say, the communist countries, and so on and so forth. But this is also the building of another dream. It's not just the breaking of a dream, it's the building of the incarnation of something that is real. To actually understand what is the dream, you sit with your longings. Any Neptune transit to Neptune is going to make it very clear what the longing is about. And so you want to use those synodic cycles with Neptune, especially the conjunctions. Especially the conjunctions, you want to use them to pay attention to what is missing, what are you longing, where do you feel a little bit of despair or the helplessness, and so on and so forth, and sit with that and state your desire. Begin to understand what is the desire. This is not a cognitive, it is an experiential process, and this is how you save yourself. Okay, this is the nobody's going to save you. This is how you do it. You are with the void in whichever way or manner or technique that you do. Somebody, teacher, whether of martial art or a shaman or whatnot, and nowadays nearly everyone, right? Because with Neptune in Pisces, we have become so informed of so many practices that are tackling at the dream state, at the fabrics of reality, the imagination, and all those things are becoming very practical, especially like we're in a world war, right? So it's very practical to imagine what we do want. And so a lot of things that we have been longing for are making themselves present. With every synodic cycle to Neptune, another planet is making itself present. Okay, now we have the sun, so it's about visibility, it is about shining, being your authentic self, being who you are. It is about solar figures, so how you are as a father. I saw actually a beautiful short by Richard, not fine, not Branson. Oh, the guy that helps people who've been in abusive relationships. And he says, because I had a disconnect with my father, I would attract women that were as abusive as my father. And I'm like, dang, this is also true for men. And so, or if a person, let's say father is missing, so people who are as missing as the father is okay. And so Sun conjunct Neptune is such a great opportunity to acknowledge things, acknowledge what is missing, acknowledge what do you long for, and be with that void. And that creates a movement that allows for some other experience to form. Now, when you think about something like a father figure, a solar figure, a type of leadership, a shine, authenticity, showing your own personality, if we take Ernst Wilhelm teachings about the sun, then the sun, I think he said, matures at 50, almost with Chiron. With Chiron. Okay, so you understand it's 5 decades that you're just growing to be more authentically you. And so the ancestry of the solar figures or the solar figures that have inspired you, this is also changing, this is also evolving. If you talk about, let's say, a relationship with your parents, it's growing over decades. What they grew up on, what they didn't understand, is growing over decades. So this is one example of synodic cycle with Neptune, is Sun and Neptune. When we had the moon, then we had lunar figures, then we had the homeland, housing, caring and nurturing, food, kind of like lunar figures, mother figures, but also a type of witches, okay, lunar work, lunar witches, many things that were open in the cycle. The moon meets Neptune every month, so you get to work on the moon a lot. Sun once a year, and so we're going to be having more and more such synodic cycles, and each one of them is a great chance to be with the void. Okay, so we can start talking about Neptune not only as the ideation and disillusionment, the letdown, the missing, the fall from grace, the loss, the grief, but also the hidden wealth, the bringing something into existence from worlds that are so distant that we did not have access to them in our consciousness, that we were not even aware that they are in our vicinity. And it's really about hidden wealth. I'm not discrediting all those things, they are true. But I'm also adding to this that there is a reason you're staying with the void. And also, you want to be compassionate with yourself naturally. You're not going to be able to do this, it's gradual, it's over time. Um, but Neptune moves slowly, so you get the chance to correct these things along the course of your life and to manifest along the course of your life. So in this eclipse and in this time and in this synodic cycle and the upcoming synodic cycles, I want you to start practicing, even setting intention to be with the void, but also pay attention. Is it correct for you? So you can expect discomfort, yes, because you're not ignoring, you're not betraying yourself, you're not ignoring or immediately trying to alleviate the tremendous existential gap or the tremendous gap, tremendous longing of something that you may have never even had. Or even if it was in your vicinity, never absorbed. This is why it's associated with addiction, right? Because it's something that is missing. Sometimes you don't even understand that it's missing. When there is a synodic cycle, a conjunction with Neptune, again, we are always in a synodic cycle. I'm talking about the opening and closing. This is the conjunction. Then you can really pay attention, because something you didn't even know you were missing is present in its absence. Something you weren't even paying attention to. It's not really volunteered, because I did this by my own will, not with and that was communicating with people who are on the brink of suicide or looking for like suicide online. And even for me, it took several years until suddenly, by a story, I heard there was a person that was going to jump from a high building, and the person that was talking to her, because we were sharing experiences, the people who were doing that, and the person that was talking to her just told her that she was loved. And I was like, the fuck, how did that work? And she didn't jump from it. She felt that she was seen, she was cared for. She didn't jump from the building. I was like, the fuck, how did that work? Okay. Because, I was thinking about freedom and validation for the choices that the person makes, and understanding and wondering whether it's like a societal thing, a personal thing, and the factors and so on. And then there's this person who's like, for this person, this worked. They just needed to know that they're loved and they're seen, they're cared for. It's like they didn't jump. Like, oh my God. Okay, so this is an example of something that is present in its absence, in the sense that a person can be on the brink of suicide, not even know what is missing. Why are they feeling like this? Okay, when they understand, oh, that is missing, then they can also slowly, little by little, begin to manifest that which is missing into their lives. And Saturn, I think Saturn is still on the 11th degree. So yes, if this is the topic for you, it's not in my place to assess like your situation, but definitely this could be kind of a eureka. Okay, something is missing is present in its absence, and then even setting intention, even being a little bit with the void as much as possible, can begin to move things around. And you can also ask for a reference of the experience of having what is missing. It's something that helped me tremendously. Because there are things that it's not about necessarily my upbringing or something like that. There's also inner things where like, oh, my chart is such that I wasn't absorbing all these things. I wasn't absorbing all this experience. And even though people around me maybe were trying to show me care or show me love, and there was certain things that I was just not absorbing. It's also happening to people. It's both that and the others. So when I asked for reference of things, or whether it's like to feel loved or stuff like that, and it again, it doesn't mean that people didn't love me. Okay, it's like the reference for the feeling that would feel good to me. Then suddenly things came out of nowhere. But it's not suddenly, it takes time. Sometimes it's over the course of years. So Neptune is also tremendously good at bringing things from distant realities, or things that you have felt or experienced that are so distant to you. And they could be in your vicinity, but you felt this is so distant to you. Or you didn't even know that this is what is missing. Okay? So I want to emphasize on the opportunity, without discrediting the grief, the loss, the discomfort, the annoyance, all the things that are also associated, because this eclipse is going to touch on that. The series of eclipses is going to touch on that very deeply. And we are preparing for Neptune to go into the sign of Aries, where literally people will be longing for an identity. I'm not talking about refugees or this. Yes, it's beginning with refugees. I'm talking about, like, think about it from a deeper meaning. The I am, okay? Neptune, the sign of longing and missing, and the I am. So people longing for a sense of identity. This is what we're venturing into. We're already seeing that, but the Pisces ascendants actually have good teachings around this, because they have been dealing with Neptune in their first house and around their ascendant for a while. And so issues of identity, and we see it, with papers, with bureaucracy, with refugees, because Saturn is going to be conjunct in Neptune, opening a synodic cycle with that. We see it with people trying to connect with indigenous roots that they have, going 9 millennia, 4 millennia back, and it's like, where do we even have this information? Maybe a little bit of channeling. Yes, and this is biased and that is biased, but basically people are longing for an identity. When Neptune is going to hit Aries, everyone will be longing for an identity, a sense of identity, a sense of the I am. And so in this longing, with this missing, we can give the teaching, nobody is coming to save you. It's not enough. Be with the void as much as you can. Yes, it's not about overwhelming yourself. You can do it for a second. And you might be surprised by the reference, but one of the people that was actually talking about this, although you say she plagiarized, she this, she that, all of the above, but this is one reference that I know to name, and this is Teal Swan, actually. She talked about self-love practices and how to actually practice self-love. So she has a lot of free videos on this topic that are years old. Maybe some are relevant, maybe not, but that is becoming quite relevant for this time again. And so the teaching that nobody's coming to save you, again, it's not wrong, but there's really nothing you can do. And when we are going to approach Neptune Aries, Aries is a sign of action. What can you physically do to gain a sense of identity? So one thing is actually to be with the void, to be with the longing, and to ask for a reference for the experience of having identity. Okay, remember this teaching. Save it, download this video. Okay, download this video, save it to your computer, save it. People are going to need that, whether it's going to be channeled to them, because this is just so relevant. Aries is about the I am. Neptune is the dissolution, the dissolving of the I am. Okay, so yes, ideation of war, yes, let down, yes, nobody outside is going to save you. Yeah, but also be with the longing, be with what is present in its absence. And right now with Pisces, It is an experience of some sorts. Pisces is a way more ethereal sign than, let's say, Aries. But yeah, it's also like the purity of the water in the ocean, yeah, missing people, not just those that we hear about, um, and so on. With Aries is going from that realm into um, actual sense of the I am as people. Um, and that's going to be where people are going to feel tremendous longing for identity, not identity card. In the beginning, it's going to manifest as this, by the way. It's going to be like a refugee crisis. People want papers. People want the digital ID. People want worry about identity theft. We already see that. And so, or people longing to preserve the memory of their loved ones. We already see this too, using AI. But there is going to be, do you think beyond this, you think into really the cognitive, the I am, the identity issue. And you know, the most psyops things and cultish things are around identity. Now, the rise of nationalism was about identity. If you can get to have a national identity, you will fight to death to protect the motherland. This is useful. It has pros and cons. Okay? And so on, but so was before. It was part of an empire. Okay? And so identity gives you housing, gives you belonging, gives you ancestral veneration, and so on. But here we are talking about people having a need to have an I am. I cannot even stress this enough, how much learning to be with the void now, when it is like, oh, my solar figures, my lunar figures, my relationships, my abundance, my sensual experiences. We're going to hit Neptune Aries. It's going to be a sense of an I. Okay. And so it's not going to be useful to say nobody is coming to save you, because who is you? You think that what I'm talking about doesn't make sense? Well, I want you to contemplate on this. Okay, I want you to. I think the easiest way for you to understand is to not dismiss it and say, what the fuck is she talking about? But to meditate on this and ask for an answer that's relevant to your life. Okay? Because I don't want to be bombing you with like scary scenarios, but I also don't want to be kind of like, you'll see, and then, you know, what you'll see is incredibly traumatic, or is not traumatic at all. For some people it's going to be different, and I don't want to, you know, to either scare you or mislead you or not give information. So the best thing I can do with this is simply to say, if you find this what the fuck, I say, please bear with me. Go to some secluded place where you feel you can meditate on this, or ask for a eureka to pop in. And this is true whether you are a researcher in academia, I was, or whatnot, watching this channel. Because learning how to work with the void, to be with the void, to understand those experiences, and to understand how to work with Neptune, I cannot stress how relevant it's going to be. Not only for this eclipse series, this is just the beginning of Neptune ingressing into Aries, the beginning with Saturn, but later it's just going to be pure Neptune in Aries. What you're longing for is okay. And also listen to the Ascendant Pisces, because Ascendant Pisces have been going through a segment of this, because the Ascendant refers to the I am. Also Sun Pisces, to another extent, not a lesser, another extent, Moon Pisces. Moon, Sun, and Ascendant Pisces. These are your people. Anybody with Pisces placement, they have been going through this, but particularly those that relate to the personalities. Sun, Moon, because it's like your deep psychology, and Ascendant, it's kind of like the you. Traditionally, we would look at Ascendant or at Moon. But Sun is also okay. Those people have dealt with identity crisis, with literally longing to have an I am. Okay, those people have some things to say to you. I'm also probably Ascendant Pisces. It could be Ascendant Aries, but it depends on like the calculation and things. Um, but in general, I say, not talking about like myself, just pay attention. These people have something to say to you. These people have channelings, they have teachings, they have been through this, and they also get a sense of what is coming. So, in my previous talk, I emphasized the importance of Pluto and Neptune, of relations, because this is the most relevant for now. But now it's evolving, and this is Neptune teaching. And if you do this with the synodic, whenever any planet touches Neptune, especially in the conjunction, if you do this now, then you learn the practice of sitting with Neptune. And yes, we will have another synodic cycle before Neptune ingresses, I believe. Yes, 1 year from now. So the ingress into Aries, you definitely want to be having either work with Neptune or the equivalent of the teachings of being with the void and manifesting, even when it relates to the I am. So this is also important when you talk about the things that Neptune is associated with, because the core of psychology is identity. And the core of, if you get the identity of a person, like I said, the rise of nationalism, people were willing to die for the motherland. But it was happening when people were also looking for identity. Okay, so this is on a mundane level. On a more psychological level, we talk about us being surrounded with, you never know who is doing intelligence for whom. And we literally have teachings around this. Okay, we literally, the public is exposed to teaching. Hey, come learn these communication skills. Come see if somebody is trying to do, like spying on you and so on. To the people, because this is a time where really are a lot of people trying to do this. And so what we get to see with those things coming up is, yes, the longing for communication, but we also get to see that if you get at the identity of a person, you make a person believe that doing something is affirming of their identity, for example, something medical, then you got the person. They are going to invest in you, they are going to give you their money, they are going to fight to raise awareness. You really got them at their identity. It's not easy to do. And this is where also it begins with children and with childhood. So yeah, and the core of psychology is identity. Also, when you want to do like coaching, then the teaching would be, what are the affirmations of I am? I am successful. I am this. And we had also the satirical moments with this plane defined, I identifies as safe, that I talked about yesterday. But this is also a practice. Okay, it's the I am affirmation is also a practice and is also useful. Has its pros and cons and limitations, but is also useful. And so just to know that your identity is an asset. Not just your ID or your digital card or your details or your papers, okay? Your identity, what you hold as the I am, is an asset. If somebody tries to get you at the identity, then you're going to be also for you. It's a source of empowerment, because when you talk about success, you say, I am a person that I don't know, whatever they do is golden, whatever they touch is golden. Okay, this is your identity. This is a source of empowerment. It's also why it's important to understand that you are whatever, divine being, you are loved, or you are deserving of love. Okay, but this is before even deserving, not deserving. It's just the core, the identity, kind of like the core of the being. And when people try to touch at that, or to make it an asset to themselves, it's important to be aware of that. Um, be aware of this now. And again, it is in sextile to Pluto, so Pluto is power. So your identity, or the dissolution of your identity, is a source of power. Okay, whether it's in being able to morph identities, to blend in, or in the very fact that something gets at your identity, so you will do what is affirming of your identity. If they get to have a course of action or a policy that affirms your identity, this is also, and this can be used not just bad, but also good when you raise, let's say, a child. Okay, so if they get to think of themselves as, let's say, a discerningly caring person, then they begin to act as such. Or let's say, what would a person who loves themselves do, right? Like this one I was teaching. What would a person who loves themselves do? So I am a person that loves myself. So I do things that are affirming of self-love. Yes, if some marketing company gets me to think that buying their product is affirming of my self-love, or pampering myself, or taking care of myself, yes, then they will sell me this product. Okay, but this is also when if I have a certain habit that I want to instill, and I say, oh, this is a habit of being a self-loving person, a caring for myself person, then I will try to use this to get this into my identity, so that I will do this practice. Let's say I wake up in the morning to see the sunlight, and this affirms of my identity as a self-loving person who cares for their mental rejuvenation, or spiritual awakening, or whatnot. Okay, or I drink pure and clear water. This affirms me as a person who is caring for themselves, who is not neglecting themselves. Yes, and then some company says, oh, our water is clear, you're going to spend money on our water. Okay, so this is where we get the authentic and the plays on the authentic. And just to be aware is incredibly useful. Yes, of course, Neptune, I said, is also around like spine, intelligence, the play with identities and so on. This is so not only what Neptune is in Pisces, this is just the beginning. Because Pisces really is a blending type. But Aries, when it gets to Aries, we will definitely see those things coming into play. And this is why I want you to have this teaching. Now you can look at where Neptune is in your chart. And when Neptune is in your chart, one teaching is teaching I got from Latitude Chavez. Basically, you need to surrender this topic. And I want to embellish on what surrender means. Okay? What surrender is not. Surrender is not about, oh, we lose in the battles, we raise a white flag, we are giving up, this is beyond us, and so on. This is what surrender is not. Think about allowing. Okay, it's not that you have no power in the situation. It's that you are sitting with the void around the topic of this house. Okay? You are sitting in with the void around the topic of this house. It's that type of surrendering. There is a longing for something, you are with the void. The being with the void is the identity. The being with the void is that place where you take space. It's okay to not know what I want just yet. It's okay to not know where I stand around this question just yet. It's to be with the void. And everybody has the right to be with the void. It's important. And so when it comes to the house that it is in your chart, this is where they're in transit or natally, this is where being with the void is relevant. So I talk about the first house, your very identity. The second house, your skill, your practice, your income, your possessions. Third house, daily activities, and so on and so forth. I'm not going to go through all the houses. It's a reading in itself. And this is the practice that is slowly but surely going to allow you to grow yourself with love, and so addiction will fall from you like leaves being shed from a tree. Okay, you grow from within by being, by staying, and then things that are no longer serving, like addictions or habits, they will literally be shedding themselves, and you will get assistance from this, even by world events. Okay, so because this is such a slow-moving planet, we are talking about things that take time, and expect that. But the fact that they take time, and now when Neptune is about to ingress to Aries, think about, since 2012, where the world has been, where you have been. Neptune has been going through Pisces tropically. So it's about to change signs. And I want you to start reflecting what has been there, what has manifested, what hidden wealth did you receive from Neptune at this house. And this can be the form of, on a collective level, people began to do channeling, people began to discuss near-death experiences, and they began to research this, kind of like a surge in research. People began also to talk about addictions as a connection problem and a community issue, and not as an